The federal government is breaking the law. Now, that statement can be true, unfortunately, for many of the things Trump and his henchmen are doing. But perhaps the most glaring and cut and dry lawlessness has to do with the Epstein files. As we know, the Epstein Transparency Act was signed into law November 19th, 2025, and by December 19th, the Department of Justice was supposed to release the files, and we only received a trickle of these files. Evidently, there are millions still to be released. The irony, of course, is that evidently the Department of Justice had already reviewed all these files in the spring of 2025 and decided that there were no co-conspirators, as Kash Patel testified under oath to Congress. Suddenly, now there are too many files that evidently they hadn't looked through at all. So perhaps, as the reporting says, that Marjorie Taylor Greene asked why Trump didn't want to release the files, and he said on a speakerphone that many people heard, well, it was going to hurt his friends. Well, has Trump ever done anything for his friends? Most likely, it was really just because it was going to hurt him. Listen to what he just said when a reporter just asked him the question about how come you're not releasing these files. Take a listen.
A guy like this loser, Massie, he's a real loser. Some psychiatrist ought to go see him. Even a really great book, they just vote no. I don't know what it is. I think they get good publicity. They really don't. They hurt the country.
Now, Trump, of course, resorted to his usual tactics of insulting Massie. Now, first of all, it shouldn't actually matter whether or not Representative Massie sees a psychiatrist or not. Millions of Americans see psychiatrists. That does not mean they can't also do their jobs. And it doesn't make the Epstein release any less important if somebody indeed gets mental health by a professional. Trump really is failing at even his own insults because his own supporters, they actually want those files released. And you are hearing that call get louder and louder. But also the survivors themselves are wanting the release. Haley Robson, an Epstein survivor who has been quite outspoken. She's been giving speeches in front of the Capitol. She's been giving speeches in the news, calling for basically the federal government to just comply with the law. This is how bad it has gotten. So she has sent a letter to the judge that is now in charge of whether or not to appoint a special master to try to get the government to comply with the law. Judge Berman, she sent a letter to it asking, please appoint the special master. We need the files. And the files that she specifically is requesting are the most innocuous things that really, this shouldn't even be an issue. Of course, she's asking that the hundreds of thousands of pages of emails and other documents from computers from 2018 and the 2019 investigations of Epstein and Maxwell be released. And she points out the fact that news organizations like Bloomberg already have these emails. So there should be no reason, like this should be the easiest to disclose and put out to the public. She's also asking for their own victim interview statements that they gave during their first investigation in Florida back in 2007, and then also in the later investigations in New York. These are called the FBI 302 statement forms. Basically, the FBI and the Department of Justice asked these women, I think they were now women, maybe some of them were still minors, to come in and talk about their most traumatic events in their life in order to prosecute and have some sort of justice. They are only asking for those statements to be released. Again, the most basic and innocuous request. This is something DOJ should have at their fingertips. She's also asking for the 51-page draft indictment and an 82-page prosecution memo that was prepared during the 2007 Florida investigation to be released. Again, basic. This was something the Department of Justice themselves created in order to justify a prosecution, which we know instead ended up with this non-prosecution agreement. Something, again, just at their fingertips. How bad is this for Trump? The more he stalls, the worse it looks for him. But even more about whether or not this is bad for Trump or whether or not this is bad for oligarchs or Democrats or whoever is in these files. She so eloquently, in her letter to the judge, talks about why this is so important. As survivors, this failure is not merely procedural, it is deeply personal. Continued noncompliance perpetuates the same secrecy that allowed these crimes to continue unchecked for years. Basically, you are doing the same thing. You are perpetrating it with the secrecy. It reinforces the painful and all too familiar message that while the law governs ordinary people, it does not govern the government and the wealthy. Powerful individual whose actions enabled widespread abuse. We do not seek vengeance. We seek accountability, transparency, and equal application of the law, just like our Congress promised us through the act. Eloquently written by Epstein survivor Haley Robson. It's the minimum, the absolute minimum the government can do for these survivors. Now, politics girl Lee McGowan of MeidasTouch said it so eloquently recently when she was sparring with Scott Jennings, who made it seem trivial, the fact of getting to the bottom of exactly what the sex trafficking ring was about, who is still out there that participated in this. Democrat or Republican, they need to be prosecuted. We need justice for the survivors, and we need to prevent this from happening again. Take a listen to what she said.
They should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist here.
Let's not get our knickers in a twist over child rape. Why are you talking like that? It's insane. It's insane. The Epstein files is insane? A multinational, multi-generational child and woman sex trafficking ring. So your attitude right now, you're sort of like, well, shucks, devil begun, is just horrifying to me. Every woman in the world that is watching this, why are you acting like you have no idea what's happening here? Scott,
He asked me a question about following the law.
And what
I
I'm
said
saying
they should
to you
follow
is
the
your
law.
attitude. Yeah, and they're not following the law. They're 30 days late on following law, and they didn't explain why they redacted the first things in the first place, which they were also supposed to do.
I know.
Listen,
you
at this point, this is not. I have a strong opinion about it because it is a disgusting policy that they are doing this. They are hiding it. It is not the behavior of innocent people, and everything that is in these files is. It could bring an entire house down. And if it has to, it has to. If it brings down Democrats, bring them down. If it brings down Republicans, bring them down. If it brings down princes, world leaders, Hollywood people, bring them down. But what it feels like right now is that there's a giant cabal of people that do not have to listen to the law, do not have to oppose the law, and they were supposed to do something, then they didn't do something, and now they're trying to have a new law that says we don't even have to do it.
No matter what other federal law Trump breaks in order to distract us from the fact that he's breaking the Epstein Transparency Act, we'll report it here on MeidasTouch. So be sure to follow us, hit the subscribe button, follow the Mistrial podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and take a look at the Mistrial sponsors. So grateful that we are not censored in this day and age.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.